Welcome to another gear review video. This time we're talking a little bit about rooftop tents, because as you've probably seen in my previous videos, we roll out with trailers, but we also have individuals that really like the rooftop tents. And what we're going to be reviewing today is the iKamper and a Smitybilt to kind of give you an idea of the difference between a hard shell and a traditional rooftop tent. Fortunately, with me today, I've got Ladybug, who's intimately familiar with other kinds, right? Like Tepui, and I think you said there was at least another one.
I've run a couple different types. I've gotten to use several different types, and just recently the iKamper. This is probably my fifth trip with the iKamper, and it's pretty nice. It has a lot of different features. Let's start with the soft top tent, which you can see that's a Smitybilt. Yeah, we just get a little closer. The features of the Smitybilt and other soft top tents are that the entire shell on top is going to be a tent material.
Yeah,
you have to unfold it.
Type material,
yeah, right? It's like a canvas material, and it actually does really well in wind. Yeah. When you have the rainfly on top, if it's not set in just perfectly, you can end up with a lot of wind noise and slapping on the side of the tent. It's going to be the same orientation all the way around it, so you might want to point the door in a way that gets you perhaps out of the wind. That's one thing.
Yeah, it's a good point.
He's got it set up in an interesting way here. This can be set up with the entry on the side. You would just rotate the whole thing, either side, or his popping out the back. That's different than the hard shell. We'll go over that in just a second. So other cool features about this is that price point on them, they're going to be on the lower end of the rooftop tent, the rooftop tent pricing. And as far as deployment time, I had a Tepui Atana 3 ruggedized, which is really similar in style to this one, in that they fold closed, and then you have to get everything gathered inside and get the cover on it and get the zippers all done.
Ugh,
it's a little bit of pain. So my Tepui, real similar to this one, I could deploy it in about 9 minutes and be set up and ready to go in and crash, versus 14 minutes to close it up. Yeah. Ideal conditions. If it's windy, if you're tired, if you have any injuries, you're going to be up on you. This one's set pretty low. Mine was set very high. It was set on top of mine. His is set a little bit lower.
Yeah, it makes it easy to get to. In the bed area instead of back up on the roof. Yeah.
Mine required a foot on the tire and a foot somewhere else. I had a shoulder injury. We went to Big Bend, and it was tricky to get that sucker all backed up. So it was probably, for me, with an injury and tired, maybe pushing 20 minutes to close it up. Yeah. Kind of annoying. There's zippers and stuff to do. But at the end of the day, as far as getting up off the ground, it's amazing. Having a ladder to go up, and you're not worried about animals wandering around, or snakes, and the amount of bugs and dirt that gets in the tent is much reduced.
Yeah.
Plus, I really enjoy being up high and having the breeze going through the windows, waking up in the morning, with a nice view of everything. The way you orient it, it's just really nice to get set up for the mornings.
So I know there was a couple of things that Dale had mentioned about this tent that, one, I asked him about, like flapping in the wind. And I know other people that have reviewed rooftop tents, that's one of their major complaints is, especially when you put the rain fly on, it gets real flappy in the wind, and it can keep you awake, and it becomes pretty annoying in high winds. The other thing that he mentioned, which I thought was kind of a neat trick, is the zippers. He goes, one of the things he suggests is if you get one of these types of tents, tape up the zippers with like electrical tape, because they'll jingle in the wind if you don't, and that's just as annoying as the canvas flapping around. So it was interesting that as an experienced user of these tents, he's like, these are little tips and tricks for people that are investing in these to consider so that you have a better experience in them. But the flapping thing is what's always got me out of wanting to get these. The other thing too is the weight. Now obviously some of these are lighter than others, but you've got this big bulky weight on your vehicle that you can't get rid of. It's on there permanently. And I know when I've talked to people about my trailer versus a rooftop, they're like, I'd like the idea of being able to drop the trailer and take my vehicle and go overlanding or off-roading, whatever, come back and have my trailer. If I want to go off-roading in this, I have to take my tent with me.
You got to close it up. You also have to close it up before you go anywhere.
You got to put it all away before you can move your vehicle again.
There's one of the downsides.
And I know emergency situations, I've talked to people about what happens if you're in an emergency and it's fully deployed. Some people say there is an ejection handle where you can just completely strip it off, but I mean, what are your thoughts on?
Kind of not really.
So an emergency happens right now. This is deployed.
With this style
How do you
tent,
get this all
and I had the Tepui Atana 3 before, so it was very similar in deployment. It had some other features that made it different. But if we needed to leave right now, you pop these spring poles out, you refold everything, and then there are straps that hold it closed, and you probably forego putting the cover on it, and you just take off. So that's maybe 3 minutes, right? Okay. Now, if you also have some other ratchet straps, that utility ratchet strap, you could close this thing up, throw that ratchet strap over the top, and just cinch everything down temporarily, throw everything into your vehicle and leave. You can be on the road in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So it won't slow you down too much. Now you're going to need to stop later and finish out the closing of it and get it all done correctly.
Yeah.
Another cool thing about rooftop tents is that each of them has different capacity, but you're able to leave a lot of the bedding inside there.
Right. When
The
you collapse it
mattress
up.
and the bedding, that is huge, especially when you're trying, because think about the things that go into the cargo space of the vehicle that are bulky. They may not be heavy, but they're bulky. Your sleeping bags, pillows, blankets, and whatever you're using as a sleep mattress.
Right.
So all that stays in the rooftop tent. And when you close it up, it makes the rest of your storage area a lot more organized.
Yeah.
And also keeps it clean. It's nice because
Right.
then you don't, if you take your sleeping bag and put it in the back of your truck, is it going to get dirty? Is it going to get wet if it rains a little bit or there's dew in the morning? If it's all in your tent already, it's a really cool feature.
Well, I know when I asked Dale what the setup time was, he said anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes to deploy it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this doesn't seem like it would take that long. But he's like, no, you got to roll it out. You got to put the little awnings out and all this other stuff. So maybe it does take 10 to 15 minutes, which I find interesting because I recently filmed myself setting up my trailer and it was less than 11 minutes from start to finish.
Right.
It took him 15 minutes just to do the
get
tent,
his tent set.
with nothing else.
Yes.
So there's some time considerations to deployment, but I would assume repacking it all away is also an issue. Like it takes probably twice as long to put it away than it is to deploy it.
I was timing myself on the Tepui I had, and it was 9 minutes to deploy it and 14 to close it up. Again, ideal conditions, right? And that's after training on it. That's after doing it several times and not getting stuck on the zippers, things like that.
Right.
So as soon as you get a zipper stuck, you got to back up and redo that.
Yeah.
So now, but look at that as compared to the older ways we used to camp with a tent on the ground, which is still an option, obviously. But some of those tents take a good 15, 20 minutes to set up. You got poles, staking everything down,
his. It took him
put rocks
26
down
minutes.
there, level the area, make sure there's no tree roots. I mean, think about all the stuff we used to do as a normal order of business. And also, it's harder, because there's two things. There's time and effort, right? The amount of time is just what's on the clock. The amount of effort is how hard is this?
Yeah.
Am I tired? Is it time to leave? Did we not sleep well? Is the family getting very frustrated? Are they ready to roll? Is anyone helping or not helping? And those types of things. So it's a big improvement over our ground tenting.
So,
but let's go ahead.
I was going to ask one question. Do you have to worry about leveling?
Yes. Yeah.
So you have to level your vehicle.
You
the same way you have to level the trailer, right? You got to level the
absolutely
vehicle, the tent, so you don't slide out.
I've got an app on my phone that's got a bubble level. So you open this sucker out. I go to the flat surface. You move the mattress out of the way. Give you a nice flat surface. Set that on there and take a look at it. It might be acceptable.
Yeah.
Point your head upward. Don't point your head down.
Yep.
Try not to sleep sideways on a slant. You'll end up rolling into everybody. So how do we level? Well, out here we got a lot of nice flat rocks. So the easy thing would be to deploy everything, check your level, roll backwards on top of a rock, dig out a little bit, or use your traction boards. If you've got really a bad slant, then put some traction boards under one side and get that leveled. It makes a lot of difference in your sleep.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, let's go walk over and take a look at your iKamper.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Ladybug, let's talk about the iKamper, because I know again you went from those soft top rooftop tents to a hard shell, and give us an idea why you switched to this type of a system versus the other. What your experience has been with this, kind of what you would do to improve it, if any, and just kind of give us a rundown on these.
Well, iKamper is pretty much the top of the line with the hard shell tent manufacturers. They've been around quite a while. They really pay attention to product design, and all the build quality, all the materials are really, really high quality. As far as this particular style, it's got the fiberglass top that's got some thickness to it. It's got a really nice hinge system, and the canvas that they use is very thick and very durable. Now, one of the cool things about the hard shell, it allows you to have a fold-out platform and get, in this case, we've got a king-size bed size sleeping area. So it's huge because it folds out and it gives you additional length in addition to the width.
Right.
Having the hard shell, especially if you orient it correctly, like in this case, I've oriented the hard shell towards the direction of the greatest wind that we experienced when we rolled up. So what that does is it lets the wind hit that hard shell, go around, and it minimizes flapping, minimizes deforming the tent under heavy winds. And it kind of stabilizes everything. It's really nice. They've got 3 windows, and then there's a front area window and entrance, which we'll walk around and see. There's 2 windows on the side, and there's also a moonroof and a sunroof. So you can actually open that up and stand up and see everything.
Right.
Now what's cool is the Rainfly, it's right now deployed. The Rainfly has a clear PVC cover. So it's sealed from rain, but you can still have that moonroof, sunroof open.
Right.
So you get light in the morning if you want it, and at night it's fun to see the stars. I really like that. As all the other advantages of rooftop tents are there, this one also has extra capacity inside. So you can put your mattresses inside and your bedding, and when you close that down, and it gives you a little more ability to compress that. Now, you don't want to force anything, so you have to use good common sense there. Another thing that we've been able to do with these is switch the mattresses out from the thin, just foam mattresses that come with it. They're not that comfortable. Most people like to upgrade them. I got the Mega Mat system, and so it's pretty cool because they're regular width and then the narrow width together fit perfectly in that tent. So you have basically king-size mattress.
Yeah.
Now, what do we do then? How do we maximize the amount of stuff we can leave in there, again, to get it out of the cargo area? And we deflate the air mattress, both of them. So they go from 3.5, 4 inches thick down to like this. You stack that on top of it, and you layer your sleeping bags and your pillows out toward the back by the hinge, and the whole thing closes up. It's really cool, really neat.
So yeah, so Ladybug, when it comes to the deployment time, would you say it's faster, like both deployment and shutdown, than a soft top, or do you find it's about the same amount of time?
Oh, it's way less. You're talking, if we roll up and all my bedding is in there, and all I want to do is deploy it, crawl in, and sleep, you're talking 2 minutes. It's extremely fast. There's 2 latches on the front. You pop those suckers up. It has a spring-activated opening mechanism. You just push that, it opens up. You fold it out. You open the door, deploy the ladder, set the ladder, crawl in, arrange your bedding, go to sleep. Now, if you want, you can open your windows, set the spring poles on both sides, and set the spring pole on the front by the door, the entrance. And that just takes another couple minutes. On the effort scale, it's significantly lower than a soft shell tent. Again, you don't have these long zippers to deal with. You don't have these straps to help compress everything down, because once everything is packed correctly, it can open and close with ease. And it's only from one side. You don't have to go all the way around and compress it down and pull straps and do all that stuff.
So I had heard that some people have struggled with getting it closed because it does require some force to pull it back down. And a lot of like female campers that started out with these have moved away from them because it's too difficult to bring it back down. Like, it takes a lot of strength to pull that down. Would you say that's the case with this, or it's just a matter of leverage?
I think the first time you try to get the thing open and closed, it's awkward. You just have to, it's good to watch some videos on how it's done, and then use of leverage. There are straps on there. So there's a strap that comes and attaches to the top of the hard shell. So once everything is ready to close it, you grab that strap and pull it. Now, if it's too hard to pull, there's a loop on it. You put your foot in it, stand on it, wrap it through. Like I have these the sliders there. If you needed to, you could run it through there and pull. And you're not like pulling 60 pounds worth of force. You're just getting a little more leverage on that top. As it comes down, you just reach up and pull it closed. It's not that big a deal. It's not difficult.
Now, would you say these things, I would assume they are much heavier than a soft top as far as the weight, because it is a hard shell versus a soft shell, right? I mean,
you know what? Not really. Part of the reason is the materials that they use, they're being very conscious about that. The base of it is a honeycomb aluminum that's actually very light. Let's let that truck go by. Yeah. So this one weighs in at about 160 pounds. And again, for that full-size, king-size bed. My Tepui Atana, it was ruggedized, so it was a little bit heavier. It was like 160 pounds. So you're only like adding 15 pounds with this one on here.
Okay.
And it's not, you have to work that into your gross vehicle weight calculations and what you want to do, what you want on top. But it's not.
You got to worry about static weight on the top too, don't you? I mean, as far as measuring not just the rooftop tent, but also the people that are going to be in it. It all adds up.
Yeah, there's dynamic and static, and your roof rack or your mounting points have to be situated in a way to take that weight as a static load when it's just sitting there with all the people in it, and then also as you're moving. Yeah. So you have to watch that. That's important.
So price point, obviously the Smitybilt's relatively inexpensive. I know that from my research on hard shells, they range anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000, depending on what you get. I mean, obviously you get what you pay for, but as far as iKamper is concerned, I know they're kind of a premium brand. What would you say the price point of something like this would be? Like, I guess maybe on the primary and the secondary market, because I'm sure you can probably get it much cheaper at secondary.
So this is you can. This is an iKamper 2.0. And it comes in at around 3,600, brand new. Okay, I picked this one up on the used market. It's got a few blems on it. It's in real good shape. It has a few blems. The windows have a little bit of wear on them. The logo, there were stickers on it before, and whatnot. But I got about $1,000 savings on it. So it was in about 2,600 for this one. That's about what you're finding them on the used market right now. Okay. In early 2023. So that's what you can look at. There's a lot of them on the market. There's also a bunch of other brands that have mimicked this style. And some of them, the quality is there and some of them is not. So it's good to look at reviews and see. There's a lot of these coming in. There are knockoffs coming in from China. They look really cool, But what do you do customer service wise if you have a problem? And it's a
Who do you
specialty
call?
device. I mean, you can't. I mean, you know, fixing a fiberglass custom shell like that is not going to be as easy as, say, sewing some canvas and doing that type of repair. But you can call iKamper. They have really good customer service. They've been around a long time. And you know, again, it's if you want the brand to stand behind you, you're probably going to pay a little more in this case.
Well, I know some of the other aspects of hard shells, at least in some of the you know, the clamshell ones that open up, you can put weight on the roof.
True.
So not just solar panels, but we've seen bike racks and
Yep.
stuff. It's kind of weird the way that they deploy. Can this actually handle weight? Is
This
it a
one
weight bearing?
cannot.
Okay,
No.
so not a load bearing.
In fact, you can see I've added that solar panel up there. The wiring's a little bit, it's a little crude there. It's a you know, first pass at that. A better answer there is going to be to drill the top and get a bulkhead going through, get the wire to feed into the tent and then out and down to the controller. But it's not designed for weight. There are other hard shell tents and even some soft shell tents that are like hybrids that have a rack on top that you can mount like bicycles, kayaks, different things like that.
Right.
I mean, you can't put incredible amounts of weight on them. Some have, you know, like 100-pound capacities.
Yeah.
It's impressive. It's pretty cool. So that's really neat. I think that's probably one of the features that I wish I had because I'd like to be able to put more gear up top.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The other thing is aerodynamics. Like when you were hauling around the Tepui, it was basically just a big rectangle that had a wind block up on the roof. Would you say you get better gas mileage with this one compared to the other?
I'd say the Tepui was basically a block sitting that's almost 12 inches tall, sitting on top of the truck.
Right.
And you could feel it actually. Now I don't do a lot of mileage mile per gallon testing with the different gear.
Yeah.
I just don't. I know that I've got limited range with the Land Cruiser, and we just work with that. But this one, you feel it a lot less.
Yeah.
I mean, this is you can see it's a little bit shorter than 12 inches,
You get a better
but it's got
airstream.
much better aerodynamics. There is a bit of wind noise in the front that I'm working on. I have a cutout in my roof rack for a light bar that's not installed right now. So that's an area that if I had a better windscreen, I could probably reduce some of that wind noise. It's not terrible, but it's definitely noticeable.
Right. Well, excellent, man. Well, I appreciate all your insights on this. I know the rooftop tents are definitely an intriguing aspect of camping that a lot of people are investing in. And there's a lot of options out there for you. And obviously there's a variety of different price points on these things too.
Yeah,
so
it varies
it's always good to talk to somebody that's used several models, not just one, and the experiences that you've had with each and kind of, you know, your decision-making process for the upgrades and all that other good stuff. So thanks so much for your time, man. This has been a good conversation, and this has been another gear review. Thanks.